Warning, if you dislike female middle schoolers in pursuit of strictly platonic relationships with one another, singing computer programs, shooters, rocks, and blacks, this review may not be for you. Viewer discretion is advised. Okay, now that all the ephibophobic technology-hating racists are gone, it's time we start this review. Technology and the evolution of technology have always fascinated me to no end. It seems like every year new technology is released only to render its predecessors obsolete. More memory, longer charge, faster processor, and sometimes merely changing the ending number to the next one or simply adding the letter S to the end of it. With the evolution of technology, media is evolving in tandem. Movies are using more and more computer-generated special effects, photography has almost switched entirely to digital, traditional painting and drawings are being challenged by digital alternatives, and music is becoming less and less about genuine talent and more about how one can manipulate his or her voice to sound most like a fucking robot. So I find it rather unsurprising that with the evolution of technology, we've given birth to the first pop star who's not even human. In 2007, Krypton Future Media began taking voice samples provided by voice actress, or seiyuu if you want to gain some pretentious points, Saki Fujita. Later that year, in August, Krypton Future Media proudly released to the world, for better or for worse, their singing humanoid persona, Hatsune Miku. Hatsune Miku, in their minds, was the future of music. Even her name, Hatsune Miku, alludes to that, with her name being a fusion of the Japanese words for first, Hatsu, sound, ne, and future, Miku. In my eyes, she's nothing really more than an overglorified bastard child of Stephen Hawking and Microsoft Mary. Not to say that I don't think some of the songs that she does are good, or at the very least, addicting. Now let's fast forward to June 2008, and the J-pop group known as Supercell has been using the Japanese video sharing site Niku Nikudoga to release their music, which features the vocals of Hatsune Miku. This month, though, they've just released their newest hit song, Black Rock Shooter, which is based off the character designs by the fairly unknown artist Ryohei Fuke, or better known as Hyuk, who would later make the character designs for Steins Gate in 2009. Later, due to the popularity of the song and illustrations, Studio Ordet made a 50-minute long OVA based on the franchise in the summer of 2010. 2 years later, Studio Ordet has returned to make the anime that I will be reviewing today. So, today on Holden Reviews, a review of the Black Rock Shooter television series, directed by Shinobu Yoshioka and animated by Studio Ordet, and was released during the winter 2012 anime season comprising of only 8 episodes. So, does this show hit its mark, or is it just a shot in the dark? Join me as I guide you through the depressing, action-packed, and emotional world of Black Rock Shooter. Middle school can be a tough time for its students. Sometimes what you really need is a friend, and that's exactly what middle schooler Mato Kuroi saw in her fellow classmate Yomi Takanashi. Although Mato approaches Yomi with a wide smile and friendly personality, Yomi is very hesitant to reciprocate her desire to befriend Mato, believing that it would lead to conflict in her personal life. After not being able to get Yomi to open up to her, Mato, being the tenacious girl she is, proceeds with her bombardment of kindness towards Yomi, and despite all initial hesitancy, Yomi does begin to become friends with Mato. An essential factor in this friendship being formed was their mutual fondness towards the picture book known as Little Birds at Play, a book showing a little bird in its travels across the world, seeing all of the magnificent colors that the world has to offer. Not too long after becoming friends, Yomi invites Mato over to her house. It is there that they become closer and get to really know each other. Unexpectedly, though, their fun is cut short by the arrival of Yomi's suspected best friend, Kaguri Izuriha. Kaguri is less than pleased to see her best friend affiliating with others, so seeing her with Mato gets on her nerves, to say the least. Mato is now antagonized with someone determined to make her and Yomi's friendship fail. So now Mato must decide to what lengths she is willing to go in order to keep her newfound friend. At the same time, in a world much different from our own, there wanders a lone girl with pale skin and black hair matching her black clothing. The back of her jacket bears the insignia of a white star, and the color of her eyes is an entrancing blue, capable of even making the skies above envious. Her purpose in this extraordinary world is simple: stay alive. The only problem with that in this world is peace with others is not really an option, so it's kill or be killed. So with cannon in hand, she marches onward, bearing the name Black Rock Shooter. In terms of story, I found Black Rock Shooter to be quite difficult to follow for the most part. I didn't like how the show made it fairly obvious that these girls in this other world are connected to the characters in the real world. They accomplished this not only through physical similarities such as character designs and colors, but also due to the girls in the other world seeming to share the same emotions as their real world counterparts, just usually to more extreme degrees. It was through this correlation of the characters in our world to the characters in this other world that made for some interesting moments. This is primarily due to the fact that if, for example, two characters from our world harbored feelings of anger or jealousy towards one another, although in our world they would carry on as if nothing was wrong, in this other world, their alternative selves or personas, if you will, would be physically fighting one another. I thought this made for a very interesting way of expressing to the audience what emotions each character is feeling. Something about this show though that I did not like at all was just how rushed this show felt, especially near the end. This rushed feeling that the story gave off only made the show make less sense than it already did. I felt that this story was trying to accomplish way too much than the mere 8 episodes would allow. I almost wish I could have been there to see director Shinobu Yoshioka talking to his staff about how he had this master plan to seamlessly weave all these loose ends together. I wish I was there so I could raise my hand and say, "You're fucking insane." I say this because the result was a story that just left so many plot points either poorly explained or not really expanded upon at all. This is what led to me feeling rather confused as to what exactly was going on at the story at certain points. It was this unclear understanding of the story that made it so hard for me to follow or be interested in. As a result, the story of Black Rock Shooter receives a below average 3.75. An imperative element to Black Rock Shooter is its characters. This is because in a story about emotions, it is vital to have characters that can portray them well. With that said, the main character of Black Rock Shooter is the headstrong middle school student Mato Kuroi. She is very athletic and is a member of the basketball team. She also has a strong sense of loyalty to her friends and is more than willing to go the extra mile to prove it. One thing that I really did not like about Mato is how she would overreact to certain things. I felt that her character would try to fix problems by yelling at it. Her actions at times were just completely irrational, and in the end, it was her headstrong, incessant behavior and lack of any real sense of rational thinking that led to Mato being an unfavorable main character that I did not like. The only other character worth mentioning is Yomi Takanashi. Yomi is a very introverted girl who at the same time is very calm and polite. She isn't really comfortable speaking with others due to her reserved nature and really isn't able to make friends because of it. Yomi also bears the burden and guilt of injuring her childhood friend Kaguri, who also blames Yomi for what happened to her. Yomi suffers from great amounts of internal anxiety as well as jealousy and a slew of other problems. That said, I sympathized with her initially, but her reluctance to accept the events that have happened in the end caused me not to like her much at all. The remaining cast of characters remained uninteresting and for the most part underdeveloped and served very little purpose other than to establish conflict for Mato in which she was supposed to overcome. In the end, the characters of Black Rock Shooter failed to really be likable or interesting characters in the slightest. It is the culmination of the unbelievable and irrational behaviors that these characters exhibited that led to this show's downfall. Characters receives a poor 2.4. In terms of animation, Black Rock Shooter is one very bland and uninteresting anime, maybe to reflect the bland and uninteresting characters. The colors chosen to fill the characters make them look unbelievably flat with no real sense of dimension. This should be expected though when a fully colored character only consists of no more than 7 colors. Hell, even their pathetic excuses for highlights and lowlights on characters are laughable. You call that little patch of color a shadow or a highlight? 'Cause I call them shit. Not to mention the lines which surround the characters, which not only lack any variable thickness, which I'm usually fine with, but the characters themselves appear so jagged. It is as if they were made with polygons on a Nintendo 64. The one hand-drawn thing that this anime does fairly well is the lighting, and although very well done, causing interesting, believable shadows and light diffusion in a room as well as on characters, they only use this good lighting during scenes which they want to make more dramatic. So when they're not trying to make a scene dramatic, it'll look like its normal bland self. Now, judging from what I've said thus far, you might be under the impression that I'll be giving animation a fairly low score, and you'd be right. The animation in this anime is pitiful, but that is just the hand-drawn animation. The CG animation, on the other hand, is much more than that. Black Rock Shooter has what appears to be some of the best-looking and well-integrated CG I've seen from modern anime. It retains the look of an anime while at the same time being just a bit short of being completely unnoticeable. The action scenes done in CG look fantastic, and the camera movement and fighting choreography are a sight to behold. The only real problem is when you juxtapose the CG scenes next to the normal hand-drawn scenes, it makes the hand-drawn scenes look like they were hit with a fucking steamroller. In the end, Black Rock Shooter is an anime with absolutely dull-looking normal hand-drawn animation, but stunning CG, making it kind of even out, causing the final score to be an average 5.45. The music, aside from the opening being sung by a fucking calculator, was actually quite interesting. There were certain songs which gave me a sense of apprehension or anxiety due to their chilling and foreboding tone. The songs were composed of instruments such as pianos, violins, and as well as some wind ensemble. In addition to the instruments, the music also used various sound effects in order to produce a fascinating and unique feel to their music. There were a few tracks which sounded more like a regular slice-of-life anime, but that's not a big criticism. I did, however, savor the more choir-focused songs due to my affinity for more divine and classical-sounding music. The songs that I personally found most alluring were the songs that had their influence in either space music and or easy listening. Their calming nature and relaxing feel are something that I personally really liked, as is the case with most easy-listening music. While the soundtrack as a whole focuses more on sounding rather somber and ominous, which I believe it does fairly well, it also has, as I've said, more upbeat and positive songs, as well as some more relaxing and calming ones in addition. This soundtrack, while having a lot of variety, fails to really excel in any of them. I do not think that the soundtrack is bad, I simply think it is slightly above average, leading to sound receiving a 5.25. To me, Black Rock Shooter was an interesting concept and premise that in the end fell short due to its poorly executed narrative and pacing, abysmal characters, and lack of any real shine on the music and animation side of things. At first I was expecting the series to be similar to the OVA which was released prior. Although I didn't think much of the OVA, I still thought it was interesting and was looking forward to seeing how the whole parallel world of emotions was going to be expanded upon. But instead what I got was a show filled with characters who were a pain to watch. And not just because the animation itself was painful to watch, but because they themselves were simply awful characters and painful to watch. I would not recommend this series even if you enjoy stories of pairs of X chromosomes coming together and becoming friends, because the same has been done elsewhere and most likely better than this. Enjoyment receives a very low 2.5, making the final score for Black Rock Shooter a lousy 3.87 and receives a stamp of Holden denies. So, that's it for this review of Black Rock Shooter. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to like this video, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Also, be sure to leave your comments, questions, and recommendations in the comments section below. So, I'm Holden from HoldenReviews, and until next time, sayonara, see you later.